emotions drive the soul's desire to marry. A desire to be complete and a desire and need to transcend. Let me go further. In the first marriage, Adam and Eve were initially created as a single two-faced body. The single being was split in two, a man and a woman, Genesis 1:26 and 27, and then reunited in matrimony, Genesis 2:23 through 25. Watch this. In the world of souls, the partition or separating and reunification of the male and female components of individual souls occurs continually. That is, all the time. In the world of souls, the partition or separating and reunification of the male and female components of individual souls occurs continually. That is, all the time. In other words, everybody is occupied by a half soul. Everybody is occupied by a half soul. And both body and soul only reach a state of completion when they are reunited with their bashert. That's the Hebrew word for soulmate. Souls mate. Let me say it again. Everybody is occupied by a half soul. And both body and soul only reach a state of completion when they are united with their bashert. That's the Hebrew word for their souls, not soul, souls mate. It means to say something that belongs. Oh, God. Their long lost other half. Okay, let me go further. Let me stay right here on this soulmate thing. The dictionary says a soulmate is one of two persons compatible with each other in disposition, point of view, or sensitivity. A person who has the same temporal personality suited temporally for another person. Richard Bach wrote a book, The Messiah's Handbook, Reminders for the Advanced Soul. He says concerning soulmates, a soulmate is someone who has the locks to fit our keys and the keys to fit our locks. When we feel safe enough to open the locks, our truest selves step out, and we can be completely and honestly who we are. We can be loved for who we are and for who we are pretending to be. He says the soulmate unveils the best part of the soulmate. No matter what else goes wrong around us, with that one person, we're safe in our paradise. Our soulmate is someone who shares our deepest longings, our sense of direction. Our soulmate is the one who makes life come to life. Let me go a little further. Thomas More, a Roman Catholic spiritual writer, he says, a soulmate is someone to whom we feel profoundly connected, as though the communication and the communing that take place were not a product of intentional efforts, but rather a divine grace. This kind of relationship is so important to our soul that many have said there is nothing more precious in life. One writer said it like this concerning their soulmate: I loved you before I met you. Look at your neighbor and tell her, I thank you, Jesus. One writer said concerning their soulmate, I loved you before I met you. Another writer says, soulmates are people who together want to work on making their marriage a great one. Their relationship feels like a natural fit. Although they need to work on their marriage, it is not hard to do that. When soulmates first meet, there is an immediate sense of being at ease and connected. Soulmates can accept and love every part of the other personality, and life with them is easy and natural. Let me go further. Soulmate challenges. One writer says, many people have probably already married their soulmates and simply don't realize it. The danger in believing the concept of soulmates is taking your marital relationship for granted. That is, just because soulmates are in tune with one another and are willing to take responsibility for their role in contributing to conflict and are both committed to making the marriage a successful one, the marriage can still fall apart if other essentials such as love and respect and communication are missing. There can be, this writer says, there can be temptation to bail out of an unhappy marriage because you think your spouse isn't your soulmate. They say, if you think that marrying your soulmate will mean a life free from hard times and conflict, you are not facing reality. If you think you're not married, if you think you've not married your soulmate, they say, don't just walk away from the relationship for that reason alone. Spend some time getting to know yourself a bit better first. Watch this. Here's the key. They say because you can't find your soulmate if you haven't found yourself. And let me just say something about finding yourself, knowing yourself. I know most of us in here, you know what your zodiac sign is. But do you know what your personality classification is? Do you know what your personality temperament is? Do you know what your spiritual gifts are? Do you know what your calling is? I know you know your zodiac sign. And you got to understand that that's significantly important. Because again, like they say, you can't run around talking about I'm looking and waiting for my soulmate, and you haven't even found out you. Watch. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like if you're going to get your car fixed. Whenever you go to get your car fixed, the first thing when you bring the car in for the repairs, et cetera, they're going to ask you what type of make and what is the model of the car. If you're going to get accessories for anything, they always ask you if you're going to add something to anything that you've got and you call the manufacturer, the first thing they're going to ask you is, what's the make and the model of the product that you already have? Because everything is not going to fit and work for the model and the make that you have. Oh, y'all don't hear me talking in here. See, you can go and get tires for your car, and basically almost any set of tires would basically work for your car. I mean, you could put them on the car and the car is going to drive. But there are certain tires, if you put them on the car and they're not the right car, even though the car is moving, you could damage the alignment that's in the car only because you got the wrong tires on the car. It's kind of like a certain, every wheel isn't going to fit on your car, depending upon the lug pattern. Now, you can slam any wheel onto the car. Yes, but there are certain things that have to be correct in order for the car to run smoothly. Oh, y'all don't hear me talking. In other words, listen, every alternator is not going to work on the car that you have. Every kind of fan belt isn't going to work on the kind of car that you have. Your car is designed for a certain fan belt. It's designed for a certain alternator. If you get the wrong one on there, you're going to have And so when you start thinking about who is a potential mate for me, if you don't understand the model and the make, if you don't understand yourself, baby, you could be getting the wrong part. And even though the part is working, it could be causing damage that you don't even know. Y'all don't hear me talking in here. Touch your neighbor and tell them, make sure you know the make and the model. And many of us, because we have not known our make and model, have gotten the wrong accessories for our lives, the wrong parts to come into our lives. And ultimately, what we thought was going to work ended up damaging, hurting, and ultimately having to be removed. All right, let me go further. So the Talmud, which is basically the rabbinical commentary on Jewish law, ethics, and customs, Talmud. Particularly when you're reading the Old Testament, you start getting into deeper studies of the Old Testament, the Hebrews, Jews, you're going to come across that word Talmud, and the reference to the Talmud. The Talmud is again, basically the rabbinical, the rabbis' commentary, Jewish teachers, those who walk in that office. Jesus was a rabbi, Rabboni. Rabbinical commentary on Jewish law, ethics, and customs. They say each soul's besert or predetermined, predestined soulmate is determined before its birth. The two may be born on continents apart from each other without seemingly nothing in common. But the rabbis say the divine destiny ensures that everyone's path intersects with their beshert or their predestined soulmate. Everybody is going to come across that person. Watch this now. Thus, the attraction to the opposite sex, so often reviled as a weakness associated with base carnal urges, they say actually stems from the soul's innate desire to reunite with its soulmate. In other words, and I don't mean to be crass, But the truth of the matter is, you may not be as horny as you think you are. I told you to buckle up. I told you to put your seatbelts on. Give me a help a little bit. Give me a little bit. Just a little bit. We're going to ease up in it here. We got to loosen up some things in here. You may not be, we just want to be honest. I don't know what he's talking about. That stuff doesn't run across my mind. The devil is a liar. If you living and breathing in here, look at your neighbor and say, I just need to make sure you're alive. They say the attraction to the opposite sex, so often reviled as a weakness associated with base carnal urges, actually stems from the soul's innate desire to reunite with its soulmate. In other words, it may not just be a sexual thing. You may not just be what everybody is trying to tell you or what the devil has convinced you that you are. Watch this, watch this. It could be your soul's longing, looking, and searching for its other half. Oh God, watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Therefore, they further say extreme care must be taken not to misuse the sacred and potent power of sexual attraction by expending it in a context other than marriage. Let me say it again. They further say extreme care must be taken not to misuse the sacred and potent power of sexual attraction by expending it in a context other than marriage. In other words, the question isn't whether or not I am attracted to you. The question is whether or not I am connected to you. Oh, let me go in here. The question is not, do you turn me on? The question is, can you keep the motor running? I need to know that this thing can survive some things. I need to know it can survive some winters, and I need to know it can survive some storms, and I need to know it can survive some setbacks and disappointments and some heartaches and some pain. Baby, I don't just need to know, can you turn me on? Anybody can turn me on. I just need to know, can you keep the motor running? Yeah. I dare you to make the devil mad and tell somebody that's what I'm looking for. I ain't looking for a turn on. I'm looking for somebody who can keep my motor running. Hey, listen, I ain't looking to be attractive. I can turn my head every time I walk down the street. I'm looking not for an attraction, baby. I'm looking for a connection. Yeah, touch somebody and tell them that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, let me go. Watch this. God, somebody ought to tell the Lord, thank you. I feel a breakthrough coming. I feel some stuff loosening in here. I feel some shackles like they're getting ready to be broken. And some yokes getting ready to be destroyed up in here. Yeah, God. Yeah. See, because sometimes you got to be honest with folk. I admit it, baby. I'm attracted to you. I just don't know if I'm connected to you. Yeah, I admit it. You turn me on. But I just don't know if you can keep my motor. Oh, God. Oh, can somebody be honest in here and give the Lord a hand clap of praise? Give the Lord a hand clap of praise because he's opening some stuff up. Okay. Let me go a little further here. See, because here's the dilemma. Here's the dilemma. It says extreme care must therefore be taken that you don't misuse the power of sexual attraction. They say here's the dilemma. due to external spiritual factors which may intervene, they say it is possible for people to marry spouses who are not their beshirts. They're soulmates. That is, you have to understand, now the devil may be crazy, but he's not stupid. That is, the enemy understands that you are less of a threat to the kingdom of darkness as a half a soul than you are as a whole soul. Not that as a half, that a half isn't a threat. It's just not as much as a threat as a whole. Y'all don't hear it. In other words, he doesn't care. Satan does not care if you get somebody. It's just as long as it's the wrong body. Watch this. You got to understand. The Bible says one can put 1,000 to flight, but two could put 10,000. Let me push in here. Just a little caveat to that. The problem with a whole lot of couples today, the reason that they can't accomplish anything together, they can't move anything together, they can't build anything together, they can't inspire anything together, is because they didn't get a soulmate, they got a flesh mate. And so consequently, while your flesh is happy, your soul is suffering. Why? Because there's no good thing that dwelleth in the flesh. In other words, you could have everything outwardly that should make you happy, but inwardly you aren't happy. Why? Because what it takes to satisfy the soul doesn't have anything to do with your flesh. See, for your soul, baby, it's going to take more than a body. Yeah, for your soul, it's going to take more than a good bank account. For your soul, it's going to take more than a good smile. For your soul, it's going to take more than the way that they kiss you, hug you, and rub on you. For your soul, it's going to take a little bit more than that. Touch your neighbor and tell him it takes more, baby. A body ain't never gonna satisfy your soul. A smile ain't never gonna satisfy your soul. It may turn your flesh on. It may turn your flesh out. But at the end of the day, there's got to be more. Touch your neighbor and tell them there's got to be more. And that's what I'm looking for. I need more than a body. I need more than a smile. Thank God for a body. And thank God for a smile. Thank God for a bank account. Thank God for the good times. Thank God for the dinners. But our soul needs to be satisfied. Touch your neighbor and tell them don't settle, baby. Touch your neighbor and tell them don't settle. As a matter of fact, somebody holler, I refuse. Somebody holler, I refuse. And so you can be in a situation where a part of you feels satisfied, and then there's another part of you that is wanting and waning. There's another part of you that's disgusted, irritated, and frustrated, and you're toggling in between, because every time they touch you, it's all right. Every time you lay down, everything is well. If they kiss you and walk with you, then everything is good. But if they ain't kissing you, if they ain't touching you, if you ain't laying down together, I don't know what I got. I don't even know why I'm in this situation. And I'm wondering from day to day and from night to night. Let me help somebody in here. Your flesh has been satisfied, but your soul, I said your soul, baby, is still looking. Your soul is still waiting. Your soul is still waiting. Your soul is still looking. Just touch somebody and tell them, I refuse to compromise. I refuse to give in. I just don't want my flesh to be satisfied. I need the real deal. I need the whole package. Oh, God. All right, let me go a little further. And what you got to understand, and I said it before, that is there is a difference between what it is that you are attracted to, what turns you on, and what you are compatible with. And everything that you like and everything that you are attracted to, even the things that you love, don't mean that that's what is compatible for you. Because if that were the case, you would have married the first person you loved. You would have married the second person you loved. The third person that turned you on. The fourth person that you were attracted to. But the truth of the matter is, in somewhere in the recesses of your soul, you liked them, they turned you on, you were attracted to them, everything was wonderful, but at some point you made up your mind, ain't no way in the world this gonna work. Ain't no way in the world this thing can go any further. Why? Because suddenly you began to understand that attraction is not a qualifier for compatibility. Me liking you and being able to hang out with you is not a qualifier for marital compatibility. The fact that you can make me smile every now and then is not a qualifier for marital compatibility. Touch your neighbor and tell them, get it right. Get it right. It's time to get it right. It's time to understand some things. Baby, just because he gives you butterflies, just because you're glad when you see him, that doesn't mean that he is your compatibility partner. That doesn't qualify him. It goes a little deeper. You got to be thinking long term. You got to be thinking, how long can this motor run? You don't turn it on, but how long is it? Oh, God. Touch somebody and tell them, be honest. You got to be honest. Oh, it's getting a little rough in here, but I dare you to clap your hands and give the Lord a hand clap of praise anyway. I dare you to bless him anyhow. I dare you to be bold enough, to be brave enough. Here's the thing. You've got to remember